Adam and Eve are vampires that had been living apart until the events of the film. Adam, suffering from depression, asks his wife to meet him in Detroit to reconnect. Adam has distanced himself from humanity, composing his music in secret and having all of his errands performed by a human assistant, Ian, who does not know Adam is a vampire. Eve wants Adam to see the beauty in humanity and in life itself. As vampires, they have so much time on Earth, and they may as well enjoy all of it, she argues. Adam believes that humanity long ago reached its peak, and is now on a downward spiral from which it can never recover. Eve believes that there is still time to revive or rebuild the world. Eve is actually much older than Adam, which means she has an even longer view of history. She has seen societies crumble into dust and be remade. Adam has not. This explains their differing worldviews. With rare exception, vampire movies require some relationship with the past. Bram Stoker's Dracula spends a substantial amount of time in prologue, flashbacks, and remembrance of things past. Dracula is still in mourning over the tragic and entirely avoidable loss of his wife, who flung herself out of a castle when she was mistakenly informed of his passing. The film follows Dracula's quest to replace his wife with Mina, a woman who the film implies is the reincarnation of the deceased wife, a figurative ghost of the past, a memory made literal in the body of Mina. Interview with the Vampire is told through the framing device of a vampire telling his life story to a mortal. It is all flashback. Only Lovers Left Alive shows photographs of the past, but never flashbacks. We, the audience, are trapped in the present while Adam is figuratively trapped in the past. In fact, Adam is obsessed with the past. His melancholic attitude casts a thick fog over everything that he does. He believes that humans, who he calls zombies, have slowly eradicated everything beautiful in the world. Art, science, even their blood. Diseases and drugs have polluted the bloodlines of humanity, and with few safe options, Adam relies on a doctor to provide him with clean blood. Adam's unceasing nostalgia for what once was is seen from the onset. The camera swirls around him as if he is circling the drain and holding a lute, a medieval instrument no longer in popular use, all to the beats of Funnel of Love, a song released in 1961 but covered half a century later for this version. Past and present crashing together. Shortly thereafter, his human assistant Ian arrives to deliver several guitars, none of them recent models. This one is from 1959, the next one from 1960, and so forth. Later in the film, Eve remarks that his other guitar is from 1905. When Adam visits the doctor, he wears a stethoscope that the doctor recognizes as being an antique. We later learn it is from 1968. Adam only uses a landline on a practically prehistoric phone. Although he owns a computer, he uses an old television set as its monitor. Adam does not simply pine for the past, he hungers for it. He takes Eve to the Michigan Theater, which he says was built over where Henry Ford made his first prototype. In collecting these objects, and making these broad declarations about how life was better before, we see a vampiric twist on romanticization of the past, especially personal history, viewing our lives through the good old days, no matter how inaccurate. When Eve tells Adam of his heroes, he deflects, saying he has no heroes, but that is not true. His wall is adorned with those humans he admires, but this shrine to the so-called great men of the past is a romanticization. Henry Ford was not only an inventor, he was also a Nazi sympathizer. The film shows us that even a vampire, someone who has lived through much of history, can suffer the human trappings of seeing the past as pristine. Adam's brain may know it was not, he lived it, but his heart tells him something else. By reimagining the past as better than it was, he gains a miserable outlook on the present, and that's true of humans too. Because of this, he stays in one place, as suggested by this visual in which he plays the drums sitting in one place while echoes of him move about, unable to escape. By remembering the past differently, people rewrite that past. Adam and Eve both know a vampire who is revealed to be historical figure Christopher Marlowe. The film plays us a nonsense conspiracy theory that Marlowe was the true author of Shakespeare's plays. The anti-Stratfordian theory. The real mixed with the false. The history is destroyed when thought of inaccurately. Adam's aliases at the hospital include Dr. Faust and Dr. Caligari, fictional characters from old stories. Adam is fake. The real mixed with the false again. When Eve's sister, Eva, unexpectedly comes to visit, Eve and Adam argue over whether or not their previous encounter with Eva was so bad. The past is unclear. Eva, as a vampire, is quite old, but her relationship with the past and personal growth is different from that of Adam. While Adam is obsessed with the past to the point that he becomes depressed, Eva is forever in the present, never growing or changing for either the better or the worse. She is always childlike no matter how old she becomes. Which is more healthy? Remembering history inaccurately, putting it on a pedestal, makes one unhappy about the present. Adam no doubt loves the 1960s, an era of explosive rock and roll, but that was also the time police used hoses and attack dogs to stop people from marching in favor of civil rights. And the older generation refers to the 1950s as a kinder, gentler time, but that was also the era of the Cold War, and so forth and so on. If Adam had taken a longer view of history, he would not assume that humanity is doomed. Progress happens. 2 steps forward, 1 step backward. One could argue that we are currently in a 1 step backward, but that doesn't mean the world is over. At the end of the film, Adam and Eve look off into the middle distance, sigh like classic tragedians, and declare that humanity is doomed. With the death of their friend, the vampire Christopher Marlowe, it feels as if an entire era has faded away. Zombies are obsessed with oil to the point of causing conflicts and soon will be obsessed with water. They speculate that this could be how the world ends. Although not outright said, their conclusion is to start over, to be the new Adam and Eve of Earth, turning a young couple into vampires, to be the genesis of a new world that has seen the old world breathe its last breath. Earlier in the film, Adam says that the sands of the hourglass have almost gone, to which Eve replies, "Time to turn it over then." This foreshadows the ending as well as points out the core ideas of the film. Adam and Eve are worried about humans only realizing the future is coming when it's too late, but the vampire couple is trapped in the past too. They ignore the future by lamenting the loss of the past. They do nothing to change things and preserve things, they only replace them. By becoming the new biblical Adam and Eve, they do not look into the future but into the past. They rewrite history as much as the film rewrites history. The past, present, and future have collapsed in on itself. All they will do now is survive. Adam's view is that humans have reached their potential, and that all that's left is nothingness. Eve disagrees. History is cyclical, like the opening shots of the film. What was once destroyed can be rebuilt. Most of the film takes place in Detroit, during a time of economic disaster. Adam is saddened by this, but Eve is hopeful that it could be renewed. Not long after the release of the film, Detroit did begin to rebound. It is currently reviving itself. Destruction of history or renewal? Both Adam and Eve's views on human prospects converge in the final scene and provides a punctuation mark to the assessment of both history and the future. When Adam and Eve conclude that they must turn the young couple into vampires, the film tells us that one day we may have to start over. That is not to say that what we do doesn't matter and that we can always rebuild. Far from it. The film gives us the clear impression that if we want to remake the world, we actually need to do something. Hi everyone, if you like what I do, please click on the orange Patreon link. That's how the show keeps going. Please click subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you never miss an episode. Like, share, and leave a comment under the video. I'll see you next week.